So you can see what we've effectively done is basically retrieve a bunch of links through this tag system by getting the tag that we need, the highest sort of level that contains the primary information we want, in this case the div tag, which then has the subsequent attributes and values that allow us to get the specific information. So whether it's a text file or whether it's an image file, you can basically use the same process. In this case, I got an image reference, or rather the reference to the link, which will then have the images that we want. So that's how we do that. So here, all we're doing is basically getting the links that will have the images that we want to download in the next scraper that we use. So this first scraper, all it does is actually get the specific links for those references of images, which also, of course, have other data. So I'll let it continue, and you can see all the references that are being output. Let's just let that run for a little bit. So we just keep printing those links out. We can terminate it just because I don't want to let it run all day. But you'll see that an output that should be created is this links CSV file, which we can just have a look at. If you want to open a text editor, have a quick look at it, you can see it's got all these links. So we've just scraped all that information. So all we really did is use this find all command, get that tag, and then get the attributes as referenced in that links, or rather that soup.find all command. And then it's not just attributes, but also the values of those attributes that we are scraping, using nothing more than a dictionary sort of setting, if you will, for that. And then it retrieves all those values using the find all command. So then what we do with those values? So once we have those values, we can go to the webscrape.py module. So the first one is the get links py module, which basically just gets us links. The next one, the webscrape.py, is basically allows us to read those links. So you can see in the code there, if you go to line 21, it's going to read the pathway to the links file. It's going to open that, and it's going to iterate through that list of links that are there. And as it loops through, it'll get the first value, the row 0. So that's the first value in each row, since we only have one set of inputs effectively in the entire file. All we really need is that first row value. So that's what we'll get, which is the URL. And then here you'll see we're going to directly scrape from that URL. So again, using that beautiful soup, reference to the urlib, URL open, URL, which allows us to open the URL, opens it as a HTML parser, and then we're going to create a pathway to another file, which this time is the image file. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to find all outputs that have the img, the image tag, the image URL tag. So if we go to one of these files, let's just open one here. I'll copy it from the output here. What we're basically doing is we're going to go to a specific record in this PAS website. You can see there's an image there with description. All we need now is to download that image. That's all we want for this particular exercise. So we're going to go ahead and view this HTML, and you can see there should be an image somewhere, an image tag, and we can see it if I type the img. There it is. So that's the image tag we have. Not all of them are relevant. Some of them are basically for other kinds of images, but we do have specific ones we want to get. And so we will be getting those particular tags. We'll find all the images, and then we'll look for the src links. And then if it has that specific, what it's saying here in the code is basically if it has anything to do with finds org.uk images, and if it's not in the link, then we continue. So we're going to ignore some of the images tags. So you can see this kind of method is basically returning all the images. So the problem with that, of course, is that there's many images on this web page. So if we go back to the source, you can see images in many places, which often not always have to do. There's another image tag, there's another image tag, more image tags down here. So you can see there's a bunch of image tags. So not all these images are the ones we want. So I've actually read through this web page, and I noticed the specific image we want has to have that finds.org.uk images link to it. So that has to be there. If it's a thumbnail, we don't want thumbnails. We continue. So let's just see what kind of image we actually get. So if I read this particular file, it's going to read that links.csv, and then we get to line 76, we should see a link that references the actual image that we want. So if we go ahead and run that, can see now the link file should basically have a reference to the image. So here we can see where it is. So this was another way of actually potentially getting the image. All this does is results in finding the finds.org.uk images and getting the specific file from only those image tag outputs or image tag values that have that link. So let's just look at it, finds.org. So you can see these are the ones that we want, but if they have thumbnails, we don't return those. So you can see it's only going to get the ones that we actually want. Okay, so just looking back real quick, so it's going to have that specific link has to be part of it, of the actual results. So that allows us to get values that have that as part of their results. So I'm just going to quickly search just to make sure. Okay, so we get rid of the quotations because they won't be in there. So yeah, you can see that these are the ones that we don't want thumbnails, but the ones that are images are the ones we keep. So those kinds of images, for instance, we will keep those particular images, and that's the ones we download. Okay, so that's how this particular function works. A little bit different than the previous one because you're not actually using the actual attributes of the tag, but rather you're getting the entire set of tags with the IMG type, and then searching through them using a basic kind of filter, looking at the text within the name of the file. So that's one way of doing it. Maybe not the best way, but it does allow you to find images that are probably of relevance. And you can see, for instance, here we get an image that has this following link based on this method. So if I want to see what that actually looks like, I can go to a web browser, open it up, and I should see, yeah, there you go. You have an image of a result that you potentially want.